This channel's real, this channel's about documenting, this channel's about talking, having an open opinions. And let's get started. Say whoa, say whoa. Say whoa. Head of a horse, the body of a man. Unidentified flying object. Welcome back to another video.
We're the reason you shouldn't come to North Carolina. Howdy, I'm a member of the Brown Mountain Little People. We hide out in the Blue Ridge Mountains in the western part of North Carolina, specifically to prey on anyone who comes near. Our tribe has a short lifespan, so we place great importance on reproducing. We grow sharp teeth within 2 months of birth, reach adulthood by age 8, which is equivalent to 18 in human years, and are fully developed and capable of bearing children by age 10. Despite being only 3 feet tall, we pack a punch and are incredibly agile. We harbor a deep hatred for humans because several decades ago, many of our kin were captured and studied by them. When human travelers approach, we don't strike immediately. Instead, we track them from behind and wait for them to let their guard down. That's when we shoot them with poisoned arrows. We don't kill them. Instead, we take them back to our tribe, where we observe them closely. This helps us understand humans better and defend ourselves against their invasion.
Montana, there's a place called the Briar Mountains, and this is home to the Crow Indians. And they speak of the little people who live in these mountains. Now, the little people are about knee-high in height. They have these sharp, jagged teeth, long nails, and these big, round-shaped heads. And it's said that their eyes resemble the moon. Now, sometimes, if you're respectful, they will help you. In other times, they will lead you to doom. Now, I heard 2 stories about the little people. The first one comes from the Crow Reservation. There was a woman who was outside one day hanging laundry with her 2 children. Now, her children started playing hide and go seek, but the mother said, "Hey, I want you to stay close by. Don't go too far. It's starting to get dark." But they didn't heed their mother's warning, and they go deep into the woods. Now, the sister, she is hiding, and the brother, he is seeking. All of a sudden, the sister sees these little shadows sort of move through the woods, and she hears laughter. And this scares her, so she starts yelling for her brother, "Jack, Jack, Jack," and he doesn't respond. And she starts panicking, looking for him, and she cannot find him. So she runs as fast as she can, and she tells her mom. And her mom goes and tries to search for Jack. She cannot find him. And eventually this leads to a big, huge search with the whole community, and they cannot find young Jack. Now, the little girl, she is very bothered by this, and she goes to tell her mom that the little people took Jack, and they told him, "Come live with us, come stay with us, come follow us." And she keeps talking about these little people who took Jack. Eventually, several years pass, and she kind of forgets about Jack. Until one day, she's outside, and she hears, "Hey, Mama, hey, Mama." And here comes Jack running to her. except Jack is the same age at when he disappeared and wearing the same exact clothes. The other story, a young man who decides he's going to go for a hike up in the mountains. And so he drives his truck up to the spot and he parks and he starts following this trail. As he's walking along this trail, he hears a baby crying. And as he continues to walk on, he hears this get louder and louder and louder. And that's when he realizes, I must have made these little people angry. So he gets in his backpack and he pulls out some tobacco and some oranges and he sets it down as an offering. And he says, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to come here to your home and disrespect it. I'm going to leave now. And so he gets back to his truck as fast as he can. And as he's driving out down the mountains, in the middle of the road, he sees something and he stops. It's two deer's legs crossed in an X. And that's when he knows he messed up and he shouldn't have been there. And he should not go back.
Where I'm from, we have little people. They look like miniature chubby children, sometimes reaching up to 3 feet tall. Here, they're mischievous, often compared to small evil fairies. They appear playful, but they steal. Sometimes as objects, sometimes as children, sometimes as energy or spirit. That is their food. We're taught from a young age to stay away from them, not to cater to them, not to follow them. In the valley, they appear black, like shadows. As you go higher into the mountains, they appear green. They are highly intelligent and are known as tricksters, and they always find a way into your home. They're attracted to the weak and innocent and the curious. If you ever see one, you know there's trouble, because they're never alone.
You ever heard of the Cherokee Little People, also known as Yunwuchunsti? These mysterious beings are said to inhabit the mountains and caves of East Tennessee. Described as small, shadowy figures, the Little People are said to be mischievous, but mostly benevolent, helping those that show them respect and punishing those who don't. Legend has it they live in secret villages, growing crops and carving tools and protecting the land. Some say their laughter can still be heard near rocky outcrops and dense woods. Locals claim sightings of tiny footprints, strange noises, and even glimpses of figures darting between trees. Could they still be watching us? Respect the land. You never know who or what might be watching.
The last sighting of a little person was about 1.5 years, 2 years ago by someone from the Bureau of Land Management. He was on horseback riding through here, checking out the interior. And what he saw angered him. He thought somebody let their little child run naked out in the interior. And he goes, who in their right mind would let a child run loose out here? And when he starts calling down to the thing, it takes off running from him, only to reappear again. But this time, he gets a better look at it. And he realized, this is no child. He's looking at it. He's got a good look at the face. It's got a wrinkled face, jagged teeth, and it's holding a little weapon in his hand like a spear. So at this time, he's not angry. Now he's frightened. He's looking at something. He knows it. He shouldn't exist. So now he's drawing his gun, and he's going down there towards it. And it ran into a labyrinth of rocks. And he spent a time looking for it. Could never find it again. So these are just some of the stories that natives, including miners, even Jacob Waltz, had encounters in here that he could not explain at all. He said it was time that he would not sleep. He would go to sleep with his gun in his hand because there were things happening out there that he couldn't understand that even frightened veteran miners like Jacob Waltz.
Thank you. In 1995, two hunters went behind the high falls near the headwaters of the Oconaluftee River within the Qualla boundary. They found a cave with fresh footprints of the Unwuusti all over the floor. About 30 miles from that site, about 40 years later, New Deal construction had begun on Western Carolina University. The late Walter Middleton was one of those who was involved in that project. Years later, he talked with Mary Joyce, a journalist, about the mysteries uncovered by the crews there. Joyce recalls his interview in her book, Cherokee Little People Were Real. Joyce says that he began by telling her about the Cherokee Little People just to build up her curiosity. She insists that after talking with him, that there is concrete evidence that the Little People actually exist in the region.
Now, they found skeletons. One of the stories that I found extremely interesting was they found a little skull. It was a child-sized skull. And one of the science professors just kept it on his desk, almost like a decorative paperweight. And he just said it was, a child's skull from the mound. One day, the teacher came in and looked at it real closely and said, "This isn't a child's skull. It has all its wisdom teeth." So if you've been through that, you have to be 18, 19, 20 to start to get wisdom teeth. And the little skull has the wisdom teeth.
Joyce was intrigued by the fact that Middleton and a few other men who actually worked on that construction site found little tunnels. According to her, the tunnels were carved out of red clay and were arched at the top, but were just a few feet high, much smaller than the average-sized man could fit through. There's no indication where the tunnels led. Depending upon with whom you speak, it appears the skull and bones and other evidence reside in a secret vault on campus, or were sent away to the Smithsonian. Among the Cherokee full-bloods, you can still find some who continue the ancient healing and storytelling practices of their ancestors. They have respect for the Unwuusti. Thomas Mayles writes in his book, The Cherokee People, that sometime around 1990, a woman went to visit a certain man at his house in the country, knowing that no one else would be around because he lived alone. But he wasn't there, so she left. Later on, she saw him, and he told her he was sorry that he had missed her when she came to call. Well, obviously startled, the woman said, "How did you know that I was there?" The man smiled and told her that the Little People take care of his house and watch over it when he's away. And it was they who told him she had been there, and even described what she wore and the color of her car.
Now, if you're from North Carolina, you probably have heard of Chimney Rock. Have you ever heard the story of the Cherokee medicine man and his battle with a group of people called the Little People? Charles Landman wrote about this battle, a collection he called Letters from the Alleghanies. Y'all know about the Battle of the Little People. The time frame that this takes place, it was a rough time for the Cherokee. See, there was a tobacco shortage. Those Cherokee depended on that for their livelihood. It was a valuable commodity that grew in the valleys, down in the lowlands. The only way to get to this valuable commodity was to go through this mountainous terrain that was rough to handle, honey, and it was said to be guarded by these mysterious people that were known as the Little People. Challenging mountain path was scary to the Cherokee. But honey, the brave medicine man stepped up and said he'd take one for the whole tribe and he'd go and face off with the mountain people. You're not going to believe what he did next. Honey, he turned himself into a mole. He was just digging his way through that terrain, right past the watch of these Little People. That don't mean he didn't meet any other challenges. So when he met his next challenge, he decided to morph one more time. And this time, he morphed into a whirlwind. And honey, he just got to whirling around, and rocks started slinging down on them Little People, and they didn't even know what was happening. Medicine Man had got the tobacco and made it out alive. People were happy, their health was restored, and their happiness was back. The one lesson that we learned from this story is that the Cherokee are going to have a will to survive. They're going to make it, and they're going to take care of each other. You see, that's what these stories are about. These Appalachian folklores and legends are about taking little pieces of stories and applying it to your life in these hills and making your life a little bit better.
Native legends you might not know. The Legend of the Little People. I've noticed all around the world, almost every culture and every tribe has their own version and names for them. Here is what I was told about the little people growing up, is that they are small spirits that look like little versions of us. They are very mischievous and love to play tricks like hiding things on people, and are drawn to shiny items, and they will sometimes maybe even leave behind some gifts for you if they like you. Other things I've heard is that they might even take you or your children away if found alone in the woods late at night, or if the child is not being properly taken care of. Sometimes if a child comes...
Stories about little people are frightening because what they do to man, they're cannibals. They eat humans.
And you said you saw one.
Yeah, on the Peralta Trail. We were camping out there outside the Don's camp, and there's a couple of nice little trails that go in towards the interior. And this is 10 o'clock at night, and we're walking with lanterns, and we hear some noise in the brush. We all turned around just in time to see this little thing with little legs running into the brush, and then we hear something else over here, and all of a sudden my girlfriend and her son and kid were getting scared. They took off ahead of me. I'm standing here. I kept walking backwards because I kept seeing that, but then I started hearing them. It sounded like they were communicating amongst each other. That's when I was able to realize there was at least 3 of them, because I would hear one going tick, 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 and then the other one. So I'm scared because now I know there's more than one of these things. So after I backed up enough, I actually took off back. Like I said, I ran back to my travel trailer. I grabbed my gun, and then I told them we're not going outside the store for the rest of the night.
It's story time, and yes, I will be saying the little people's names. So if that scares you, you might want to get out of this video. This story is an experience that my Appa had when he was a kid. He had a couple of experiences before seeing Jinxiaraks, the smaller ones, and this time he saw an Ichjinhook. And both times they had cast a sleeping spell, and everybody in his house was in a very deep sleep except for him. This is important information, and you will understand later in the story. Him and his brother slept on a mattress on the floor. He's laying down and he sees an Ichjinhook, one of the bigger ones. She was a very old lady. She was about 2 feet tall. She had a very wrinkly face. Her hair was down to her calves, and her eyes were too big for her face. As she's walking and exploring his house and looking around, she looks over and he's shooing her, telling her to hurry up and leave. She found this amusing, so she stops what she's doing and she turns to look at him. He's laying in bed terrified, and he's just watching her. And that's when she goes and lays down and props her head up on one hand, all while not breaking eye contact. And she just continues to stare at him. And she would spit every once in a while on the floor because she had ikmik or chew in her mouth. So understandably, he's terrified and he's trying to pinch himself awake. He's thinking he's sleeping. He's pinching himself super hard to the point where he bruised himself. This is where the sleeping spell comes into play. His brother is sleeping next to him. He keeps pinching his brother, trying to wake him up. Pinching him. He's not waking up. At some point, he doesn't know how long it took, but he had exhausted himself and he had fallen asleep. When he woke up, he looked at his arm, and his arm was covered in bruises. And then he looked at his brother's arm, and his brother's arm was also covered in bruises. And that's when he had gotten up and walked over to where she had been laying down. And this was during the winter time, so the ground was cold, it was frozen. And when he looked down, he saw a little puddle of frozen spit. Again, if you guys have...
I'm going to tell you the time that I think I saw little people. So this was 2013, 2014 about, and I was staying out in White Eagle with an ex, and this ex has passed on now, but I was staying out there with his family. And what happened is that one night we'd been drinking, we were arguing around, and I was just like, F this, I'm going outside. So I went to go sleep outside in the field. There was this big field around their house, and the only thing next to their house, like neighbor-wise, was like a couple of neighbors on the other side, but like behind the house and to the side of the house, there was this big field, and they used to have this llama that would get out all the time, but it was caged up, and I went to sleep next to that llama. Well, I go to sleep, and nobody knows I'm out there. Like, I just took off. And like I said, I just plopped down and I went to sleep, passed out. And I wake up in the middle of the night thinking that the llama had gotten out and was walking around me. And I open my eyes and sit up. And when I sit up and I like peer into, like, focus what's in front of me, there's like a circle forming around me of little people, like little shadow people. They were probably like 2-3 feet tall. Just like I could see their heads, their shoulders, everything. And they were looking at me. I could see like their heads turned towards me, and like they were just circling me. And I remember like a cat trying to see in the night. Like I'm just like, you know, stretching my eyes, trying to focus. And I can't make out like if these are actual people or not. And it like really spooked me. And I remember just freezing up. Like I couldn't move. I didn't want to get up and run to the house. I just like was paralyzed, like watching like whatever this was circle around me. But it looked like little people. Long story short, I went back to sleep. I just was like, I'm too drunk. I guess that was like my coping mechanism. Like, no, I'm not seeing what I'm actually seeing. So I closed my eyes and I just like laid back down, and I forced myself to just keep my eyes closed and go back to sleep, thinking that whatever this was would leave and go away. Well, it did, but when I woke back up, it was about 5 or 6 in the morning. Sun was just breaking, so I remember seeing the light on in the house, like somebody was up. So I knew that the door was unlocked now, and I just ran to the house. And I remember my ex's brother was in there getting ready for work, and I told him what happened, and I was still freaked out. And he just looked at me with the craziest look. And I remember him and his girl at the time was just like, you're crazy for going out there and sleeping out there like that. They kept telling me, don't ever do that again. Like, he ended up telling me a story that happened to him. It was kind of similar. He said that he'd kind of done the same thing. He was kind of drinking around. He'd gotten into it with his girl. He took off in his truck and he went and passed out in a field. He said they finally found him in the field. And when they found his truck and him, and he woke up, they saw like little handprints all over the truck, all over the windshield, all over the top of the car. And they couldn't explain where it came from. So needless to say, I never went back out there after they told me a couple of stories.